Hello, everyone. Welcome to my holiday special. I'm so excited. So, in thinking about what to do today, I could not think of anything more perfect than an over-the-top PowerPoint presentation. So, that's what you got. Today, I'm going to go over, so first of all, I'm going to do a thank you to everyone who contributed to my fundraiser that y'all held. Also acknowledge all the patrons that I've had in the last several months. I'm going to answer some questions that were submitted. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite things from 2020, and then I'll have some very loose tangential thoughts at the end of just looking back over 2020 and looking forward to 2021. So we're going to try a thing. We're going to see how it goes. I have some music. Oh no, why aren't you seeing the slide? All right, hold on a second. I may have an overlay situation. I don't know why it's not showing that. Let me try to share. You gotta love technical issues. Okay, there it is. All right, so let me know if you can hear the music, because I'm trying to make it a little bit more fun to read out all of these amazing names. Can you hear that? And is it too loud? Okay, cool. All right, so this is everybody who contributed, who's either been a patron, who has donated through PayPal, or who specifically donated to my fundraiser that was held by a few of my wonderful children. So we've got Sarah. Sarah, I apologize. I should have grabbed your last initial. You were the first person up. So this is a Sarah for all the Sarahs. Megan, Lana, Ashley, Ben S, Alex, Elsa, Malene, Danica, Jasper, Bree, Anna, Rowan, Latasha, Megan K, Jessica K, Patricia, William, Carolyn, Stephanie, Anna, Debbie, Koch, Chanel, hey Chanel, Kaylee, Maria, Kristen, Kevin, my girl Mohira, Carissa, Stephanie L, Maria S, Eve, Chelsea, Daniel K, Tabitha, Daniel C, Noah, Loretta, Elaine, Alexander, Betty, yikes, my favorite name on here, Linda, Maddie, Sarah G, Daniel S, Jessica G, Joshua, Dave S, Belinda, Madison, Laura, Kayla, Kirsty, Colin, Jason, Arun, Christina K, Melissa H, Daniel D, Denise, Birdie, what's up Birdie, Christella, Rika, Planet Jordan, Emily D, Ben M, we've got all the Bens on here, Holly, Maria, I know I'm saying that right, wrong, Maria, Jessica W, Pia, Jessica W, who's a different Jessica W, I double checked, Zoe, Caitlin, Ayola, Ben G, Becky K, of course Everett, Dave M, Jordan, Sarah M, my favorite son Landon, Nahian, Kayla, Moira, Dimitri, Krita, Ashley B, Little Dostine, and Roxanne. So just a huge, enormous thank you to everyone. This was an amazing event in my life. This really restored my faith in humanity and my ability to think that other people give a shit about me. So I want to say a special, very sincere thank you to Everett, Landon, Mohira, Cavely, Cordy, Gapnap, Dimitri, and Marmot. I know that you all had a specific hand in helping to organize the fundraiser for my housing. And you all raised enough money that I was actually able to cover my rent for a few months. And it took a lot of pressure off of me and gave me quite a bit of breathing room to be able to, not be in a full state of panic, which was wonderful. So thank you all so very much. All right, let me check and make sure. Yes, this is working. So, also, what we have today is a lot of dad jokes, and I've got a new hat. I don't know if you can tell what it says, but it's got a kitten on it, and it says, "Are you kidding me?" I love it. I've been wearing it everywhere. So this is now officially my dad joke hat. What do you call a wreath made of $100 bills? Aretha Franklin's. Do you get it? So thank you to Rose for this amazing dad joke. I thought it was the best, and it was very appropriate to the holiday. All right, so moving on. We're going to get into my favorite things of 2020. So I know we don't often talk about food on this channel, but I do have to say Beyond Beef, the ground beef, not new to 2020. However, I had a packet of it frozen in my freezer for what feels like 5 years, and I finally decided to pull it out and make meatballs with it. And holy shit, it's the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. I'm obsessed. I know that Beyond Meat now has meatballs. However, mine are better. And I've been joking with my friends that I'm gonna start calling myself Nikki Meatballs and have a meatball company. But so good. And if anyone's interested, all I do is take the ground beef, put in some chopped up celery and onions, a little bit of Cajun seasoning, because that's how I roll, and some parsley, fry them up, and they're amazing. To more artistic endeavors for music, I have to say, problematic fave, we all know, Miley Cyrus, Plastic Hearts, album of the year. My girl, as told by Kenya, agrees with me on this. So fucking good. And also Megan Thee Stallion's Good News album, incredible, chef's kiss. So these have both been giving me life. Midnight Sky, honestly, has made my entire year. I've listened to it about 500 times. I think it's amazing. And Megan Thee Stallion has some lyrics on this album that like get me like hysterical every time I hear them. It's so good. It's like everything's a bop, everything's amazing. Love it. For TV, I decided to pick a theme because there's so much good TV this year, but I picked all shows that ended in 2020 but had amazing final seasons. So we've got The Good Place, She-Ra, BoJack Horseman, and Schitt's Creek. All of these amazing shows ended this year, and all of them ended on a high note. Great last seasons, ended in the best way. And I'm just so grateful to each of these shows because I feel like they each gave me something. I feel like The Good Place, the ending was really emotional for me. She-Ra and Schitt's Creek obviously giving me queer representation, and BoJack Horseman finally giving us representation of like, you know, a problematic dude that's actually processed in a good and healthy way. So farewell to all of my favorites. I've loved you dearly. I will miss you. I will rewatch you. But thank you for having actually great short runs of good quality content. Movies, this was a tough one because a lot of the movies I watched that I liked weren't released this year, but I did have two that I wanted to pick, and they're wildly different ends of the spectrum. So I'm thinking of ending things. I will be honest, I actually hate this movie, but I obsessively thought about it and like watched and read every analysis of it I could find. So for that, I had to give it like, highly recommend that people watch it. It's very cerebral. It's almost kind of inaccessible, which is what I hated about it, but also what I loved about it. Very well acted, very amazingly filmed. So great, amazing movie. On the other end of the spectrum, if you're looking for something that is just fucking fun, Vin Diesel's Bloodshot was like the most surprised movie I watched this year. And that's because I think about the first, say, 15 minutes of it, it's literally the worst movie I've ever seen. And I almost turned it off. It was like one of those not bad in a good way, just bad in a bad way. And I actually was seeking out like bad, cheesy movies at the time. So this says a lot. I was like, this is so ridiculous. This is so many cliches. This is super boring. And thank God I left it on for whatever reason, because then all of a sudden it changes and the reasons it was bad make sense. And I don't want to spoil anything, but all I'm going to say is it's basically like the Bourne movies meets like Cabin in the Woods. And if you're not intrigued by that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to recommend media to you because I just thought it was so good. It was so fun. It's definitely like, you know, action-y kind of thing, but it has like a deep sci-fi sort of twist to it, and it's just amazing. So I recommend you watch it if you're looking for something fun. Oh, and not on here, but I did want to mention because it wasn't released in 2020, but I finally watched Frozen 2. And I don't even know how that movie got greenlit. It is so good, has such a great anti-colonialism message. So if you haven't seen it because you tend to avoid Disney movies like I do, it's amazing. And then I think this is the last one. I was asked if I had any favorite games this year, and unfortunately, because of COVID, I wasn't able to play board games with my friends. I know my friends actually have a few new games that we haven't played together yet. So I didn't have any board games to recommend, and I've been on a nostalgia journey. So I've been replaying games like World of Warcraft and Master of Orion and the older Final Fantasies. So this was the only one that actually came out this year that I played, called Spiritfarer. And my dear friend Christian actually gifted this to me, which was very sweet of him. He played it and he's like, oh, my ring just flew off my finger. Well, anyway, that's what you get for wearing old jewelry. My friend Christian played it and was like, I think you would like it. And I was like, oh, it sounds really cool. Check it out. And then I had a little message in Steam of like, oh, this person gifted you a game. And I was like, how wonderful. This is so lovely. So Spiritfarer is kind of, let me see, it's described as a cozy management game about dying. Which, you know, again, if you're not intrigued, I don't know how to get to you. It's kind of like a mild platformer. You sort of run around, you build up the ship, you collect people, and you help get them to the afterlife. It's got some really good messages about consent and also just sort of like personal journeys and some ideas around dying and death and what that means. It's not a perfect game. I will say I actually have a lot of critiques of this game, and the biggest one generally is that it feels very rushed. Like there's a lot of stuff introduced in the beginning that is really intriguing, and then it kind of isn't really fleshed out. Some of the mechanics sort of fall apart later in the game, but I still recommend it because I think it's really exciting. I think it's doing something new, and the graphics are so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my life, just visually. The controls are really smooth and really fun. So even though I do have a lot of critiques about how the game itself played out in full, I still would buy something else from this development company in a heartbeat. So most exciting game of 2020 that I tried and that I saw is one of the few on Steam that I didn't end up returning because I hated it. So those are my favorite things of 2020. So moving on, we have a series. I don't know if you all are ready for this. We've got a series of dad jokes. So these are going to be about me because I am your mother. So instead of your mama jokes, I'm going to tell a series of your mother's so old jokes. So your mother's so old. In history class, I just wrote down what I was doing. Your mother's so old that my last name is Asaurus, which honestly would be just the best thing that could ever happen to me because I'm obsessed with dinosaurs. Your mother's so old, I walked out of a museum and the alarm went off. Your mother's so old, I was a waitress at the Last Supper. And my absolute favorite one, your mother's so old, my birth certificate says expired. So thanks to Key and Peele for the first and second jokes, and then the rest of them I got off the illustrious interwebs. All right, so we're really into the vegan meat and potatoes of this presentation. I got so many amazing end of the year questions from people. I was really excited because I didn't think I was gonna get any at first. And then y'all came through in the final hours and got me a lot of really cool stuff. So we're going to start off with a really light and airy question by Durantes137. I got this from Instagram, so that's a handle. How transparent will racism be in 2021? Just a light little question for us. So I decided to look to leadership to answer this question, and I pulled some tweets from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to let us know, like, what is racism going to look like in 2021? So, Joe, here, Jill and I send our heartfelt wishes to everyone celebrating Kwanzaa. We hope these days of reflection on the 7 principles and the rich heritage of African American culture bring peace, unity, and joy. So there we go, right? We're getting some great multicultural holiday representation from Joe. Joe says, let me be clear. The United States has always set an example in the world for peaceful transition of power, and we will do so again. So I think we can all rest easy. Our concerns about imperialism, Joe's out here saying, hey, we've always been in the forefront of peaceful transition of power globally. We're known for it, sort of our thing, and that's going to continue to happen. So Kamala Harris says Black folks, Latinos, Asian Americans, and our Indigenous brothers, sisters, and friends are more likely to die from COVID-19. I fully trust our public health experts, which is why I will be getting the vaccine next week. She also tweets, this is what leadership looks like, where Joe tweeted, today I received the COVID-19 vaccine. I think this is great. She's pointing out that these certain communities are more susceptible, which is why the health standards are giving those people vaccines first, right? Oh, wait, no, they're not. It's only rich people who get the vaccine first, and healthcare workers, as they should. And then Joe Biden says, in 1 month, we begin to heal. So I really think that says all we need to know about what 2021 is going to look like. Is going to be Joe Biden healing the country with empty tweets. So anyway, in a less tongue-in-cheek way, I think that this is a really good question, and I think the honest answer is that it's going to be very transparent to the people who understand how systems of oppression work and to people experiencing them. I think it's going to be very opaque to people who don't want to see it and to people who want to, feel like things are okay now because Trump is not our president. That's probably a pretty obvious answer, but I just feel like these tweets say it all. They really do to me. This is the kind of leadership we're going to get. Like, I do mean it for Harris to point out that these certain communities are more susceptible to COVID is something we should be talking about, but it's like, why? Why are they more susceptible? It's not just some magical thing where it just happens, to target them in a specific way. It's because of the structural oppressions that they suffer and their lack of access to things like healthcare. And for her to tweet something like that, but then to see that these aren't people who are going to get resources like a vaccine ahead of other, like, say, middle-class white people who are less susceptible, it's all just empty bullshit. So thank you, Durantes. That was a wonderful question. It was a big question, and it allowed me to do something kind of fun. I did want to barf being on both of their Twitter feeds, though. It was rough. It was really, really rough. All right. So Maya Maths, I hope I'm saying that right, asked, don't fireworks suck? Not even for woke reasons, just as an experience? And I want to say, yeah, I mean, they're the perfect symbol for the United States, which is, they're loud, they're flashy, they're environmentally damaging, and a massive waste of money. It's just Uncle Sam blowing his big red, white, and blue load all over the sky, wasting a ton of money, making puppies cry, and then we have people going hungry while we're spending millions as a nation on these displays of, power and luxury. So yeah, I agree. As you said, not even for woke reasons, but just an experience. I think for a lot of people and a lot of animals, fireworks are just the worst. Ellie Wild asked advice for being single alone on the holidays. For this one, it's hard for me a little bit because I enjoy being alone, especially on the holidays. This stems from not just because I'm a little Grinch, but it stems from honestly having the experience of not really having family, and a lot of people would feel bad for me, even though I didn't feel bad, and would essentially force me to attend their holiday functions with them. And I would just be miserable the whole time. A lot of people's families are not necessarily healthy or like each other very much. So a lot of times I would discover that this pity invite would actually end up being them wanting me to be a buffer in between them and family members that they didn't like very much. So that was not fun for me, and would honestly make me feel more lonely and more rejected than it would for me to just spend the day alone. So I kind of very early on started to see the holidays as a way to just celebrate loving to be alone, getting a break. I also had to work, 2 and 3 jobs for a very long time, and I had to work most holidays because I was in service jobs. So that's another thing for me, is that it's incredibly luxurious to me to have holidays off. Even still, to have New Year's Eve off is are you kidding me? So that may not be helpful. That's just my background. But what I have found can be really fun is to make the day about the stuff that might be hard to do if you're around other people. I think making it a day that is physically very enjoyable is really important. I try to wear my most comfortable things. Even if I try to dress up a little bit, I might put on my favorite sweater, my favorite pair of jeans. You may do, if it makes you feel good, you may still put on some makeup or have some way of getting dressed up a little bit to, note the day for yourself. A lot of times for me, it's a fun day to just stay in my jammies all day. I tend to make my favorite foods for myself. I think for a lot of people, I've heard a lot of my friends say that they don't like to cook for themselves. It feels like a waste. So I think if you can reclaim that and say oh, it's actually this great act of self-love for me to make a special meal for myself on this day, that can be really, really helpful, and really enjoy it. Sit and enjoy the meal and think about how you're treating yourself and how you're nurturing yourself with this meal. I think that can be really important. I also try to do so, for me, I might play video games all day because, in the past when I've lived with other people, be it roommates or partners, that's something that might get kind of judged. People are oh, are you still doing that? And it's yes, bitch, I'm autistic. I'm going to be doing this for 72 hours straight. Get used to it. Watch, do a marathon of your favorite movies and movies that make you feel good. One of my favorite movies that I'm deeply fucking embarrassed about is While You Were Sleeping. It is such a trash movie. Everything about it is against everything I believe in. Bill Pullman in that movie is such an asshole. And we're supposed to see him as the, love interest. But it has this element to it of becoming part of someone else's family and then being really afraid of that rejection. And I do some of the family members, I think, are very funny, and I feel very affectionately towards them. So that's the kind of movie that I'll watch by myself, because anytime I've tried to watch it with someone else, they're this movie is shit. And I can tell they're so bored the whole time and just judging it. So it's a nice one to watch when I'm alone, just to be you know what, I'm just going to revel in how much I love this movie and not judge it, not feel bad about it. So I think stuff like that, setting new traditions for yourself can be really helpful, and stuff that you truly look forward to, whatever that looks like for you. I just think it's really easy for us when we're alone to think that it's not worth doing any of the things that we might actually enjoy doing. I know some people don't decorate their apartment, but they really love holiday decorations. So if that's you, go ahead and decorate. And, find other ways. I know this year it's probably not going to work because of COVID, but, you can, if you're used to doing certain things just with romantic partners, maybe open that up to friends and family. Like have your friends over for a tree decorating party and things like that. Again, we can't do that this year, and the holiday's already over. But that was another thing. I used to get really sad because I had someone I dated for a very long time when I was young, and we lived together off and on, for most of that. And so I got used to a lot of these things being with a romantic partner. And then later, when I ended up living with other people and having other friends, realizing like how fun and still really enjoyable it is to do those things with your friends. Like my friend Sarah, who just moved away, but for the last 5 years, I think we had this tradition of going to Thanksgiving lunch, brunch with whoever of her family was around. And it just was this really sweet kind of thing. We would find a vegan brunch that was happening on that day, and we would all go together. And then I would spend the rest of the day by myself. So I get to go eat and have a bit of that community, and then just, spend the rest of the day doing whatever I wanted to do. And it was really nice. And it took me a little while to kind of get out of the mindset that like, these things didn't matter because they weren't happening with a romantic partner. They did matter. I love that tradition. And even though we can't have it anymore, it's something that like is very dear to my heart that I'll remember fondly for a long time. And I'm just really grateful to have felt that sense of like family and community with her and her family. So those are some of my thoughts. I probably have a lot more thoughts, but I just think embracing that you are worth doing fun, comfortable, nourishing, celebratory things for is really the biggest first step that you can take to enjoying the holidays by yourself. All right. My little thing is not showing me comments. Okay. Mohira, I think tongue-in-cheek, asked on the last live stream, how do you politely tell your family to fuck off? You say, Madam, sir, I would appreciate if you would please fuck the fuck off. And that's all you do. And it really helps if you're wearing a monocle and perhaps some white gloves. That's very polite. So, no, in all seriousness, I think like this is a good time, and I know that Mo is working on this. I know a lot of us are working on this, but it is a really good time to set some pretty firm boundaries. And the best way you can politely tell people to fuck off is to just neutrally state what your boundary is, and do not explain why. Do not try to rationalize it or justify it. Just say what it is, make it inarguable, and stick to it. And that's the best you can do. So whatever it is, if you don't want to come visit, you just say, I'm not going to come visit this year. This is what I can do, though. Maybe we'll have a Skype call. Maybe we'll have a this or that, whatever it is. But I think where we fall into traps is when we try to explain and justify why we're setting this boundary with someone. And then we fall into the trap of the family stuff where everyone's, arguing with you, undermining you, and then a lot of emotions get involved. And then you'll find yourself in an argument that you didn't want to be in. Now, you can't control. Other people may still try to do this to you, but you can just do your best to not engage with it and to just continue to repeat. Just come up with one sentence and just continue to repeat that sentence until it's so boring for the other person that they finally give up harassing you about it. So, that sentence could be like, I'm sorry, I just can't make it this year. I hope you all have fun. I'm sorry, I just can't make it this year. I hope you all have fun. And just say it over and over and make it boring for the other person to continue to be up your ass about it. So I got some related questions from, I think it's Me Got Perk and Yola. So Perk asked, do you do New Year's resolutions? And then Ayola, this ended up creating a big a big to-do, which was really fun. I'm paraphrasing what Ayola said, but I'm interested in what people, especially in other countries, meaning outside of the United States, do to mark time in a way that isn't ableist or fat-phobic. As we know, I think New Year's resolutions as a concept shouldn't necessarily be problematic, but I think obviously they've turned into a way to set goals for yourself that tend to center around, your physical appearance, or could even be very capitalist. A lot of times it's sort of like goals around like achieving job goals and things like that, which again, in and of themselves don't necessarily have to be problematic. But as we can see from how much the diet and fitness industries boom at this time of year, it kind of ends up becoming that way, at least in the larger societal framework. So I was like, this is a great question. Let me go out and ask people what they do. And I got some really great responses. Before I get into that, I don't set New Year's resolutions per se. What I tend to do is try to set sort of a theme for the year. And if I can be nerdy for a minute, it's in the spirit of kind of like a scope for a project. So if anyone's worked on a project or done any project management, you have a, project scope, and it's there to help you always sort of measure what you're setting, what you're doing, what you're working on. Is this in scope or out of scope? And then that helps you keep focused on the project and not get scope creep, as we say in the biz, to where you're working on like a bunch of shit. Now the project's gotten so big and bloated that it's conflated and you can't get it done, and it's just it's inefficient. So I sort of do the same thing for myself for each year. Is I try to pick like what is a big picture kind of overall goal or theme for this year. And you all probably know now, some of you have been with me for years, I'm a person who has a lot of ideas. I have a lot of interests. So it's very easy for me to get actually a lot of anxiety and get incredibly overwhelmed every year with all of the things that come into my brain that I want to do. But, obviously I have this whole backlog of stuff that I didn't get done yet. So it's very helpful for me as a way to kind of calm that anxiety and sort of stay on track and make sure, because it's easy for me to start working on 10 or 20 things and then not finishing any of them. So if I have sort of this big picture target to aim at, I can kind of look at stuff and be like, does this fit in? If it doesn't, then I can set it aside. I can put it on like a project dream list, to-do list somewhere. I can keep track of it, but I can allow myself to let it go for now. I think that's a part of autism, but it's very hard for my brain. It's the executive function issue, right? It's very hard for my brain to prioritize things. So once they're in my brain, they all feel equally important. And it's very hard for me to internalize like, oh, this is a thing that doesn't need to happen right now. As soon as my brain thinks it's a good idea, it's like, and then I start thinking, well, now I've got all these things to do. So it's been very important for me to find a way to have a repository and to be able to let go of stuff. And for me, that's what helps is like, is this on target for the year? And if not, can I find a way to track it somewhere so I don't lose it and I know that it's there and I can go back to it later, but I can allow myself to just let it go. That's very helpful for me. So with that all said, let's see what other people do. So I thought that this was really, really interesting. I haven't had a chance to actually listen to it yet, but Maureen, my dear darling Maureen, sent me a link to this Irresistible podcast episode with Adrienne Marie Brown, where she does a guided journaling and spellcasting exercise with the audience. It takes about half an hour. You need, something to write on. And yeah, she basically guides you through like reflecting over the past year, thinking about what you want to manifest for the year coming up. And then she like guides you through doing a little spell casting, which I think is fucking great. So I think that could be a really cool, Maureen said she's done it for the last 3 years and she absolutely loves it. So I think that could be a really cool new tradition for people to have, where you're still sort of doing that intention setting that I think is at the heart of a New Year's resolution, but doing it in a way that's pretty decolonized and, you know, centers around like introspection and self-care and a little bit of witchcraft, which, you know, who doesn't love that? And I didn't do it yet, but I will put the link to this in the video description. I'll try to remember to do it right after we stop broadcasting. And this will be, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, this will be in the show notes. There's a link to this episode. All right, so I heard from some Southern peeps, Southern US, Annie and Vroom Honk, which is such a great username. Annie said she drinks Prosecco and eats black-eyed peas, and Vroom Honk also said that they eat black-eyed peas, which are considered to be good luck in the South all day. Vroom Honk has them with collard greens. So I'm like, how could you go wrong with eating an amazing legume and drinking some bubbly? Becky Love One from Instagram said that they still practice first footing, which is a tradition practiced in Scotland. I don't know how to say this word, hogmanay. I'm sure I just said that way wrong. But that's what the Scots call December 31st. And they have traditions around, you know, bringing in the new year. And so the first footing tradition states that the first foot to cross a home's threshold after midnight is the bringer of good luck for the year, which I thought was really cute. First footing is pretty binary and kind of centered on traditional gender roles, but it sounds like something that would be very easy to adopt, you know, to not be that way. The first foot is supposed to carry with them coal, coin, salt, bread, and my favorite, a wee dram of whiskey to represent the hope for prosperity, food, flavor, warmth, and good cheer for the coming year. So I thought that was really sweet. I thought that was really cool and fun, and I think it makes it kind of fun too to obviously you're staying up past midnight, so it's kind of fun to think of everyone like running outside and then having the first person walk through the threshold with all those goodies. This was another really cool one that I had never heard of before. So Kritushka said that their family pours tin. They melt tin over a candle flame and then pour that tin into a bucket of cold water. The shape that the melted tin takes is used to then cast a shadow on the wall with the candlelight, and that shadow is supposed to predict each person's future for the coming year. Apparently, this is a German tradition. Their family also leaves food out for their ancestors. It was really sweet. It says they leave food out all night for the spirits of their ancestors to come home, so that the ancestors will come home and eat with them, which I thought was very, very bittersweet and cute. And I love the idea of, you know, creating a thing. I really like, obviously, I don't want to promote consumption too much, but I do like the idea of having a bit of a little talisman that you get to keep with you for the whole year that represents, you know, what's supposed to happen. I think having that little tin would be a cool thing. So that's what Germans do, apparently. Dear Sweet Landon wrote in and said, this is so funny because when I looked this up, so many people online were like, apparently this is a huge international tradition. I've never heard of it. So same. But apparently it's a huge international, specifically German, but I guess a lot of people in a lot of countries do it, is to watch Dinner for One with Freddie Frinton. And I think it was someone else. When I went to this link will also be in the show notes and the video description. When I went to it, just so you all know, the intro is in German. So I was like, oh shit, and there's no captions. But then when the actual play starts or the sketch, it's in English. So FYI for that. But yeah, it's a quick little, the video that Landon sent was 17 minutes, and I guess it's a big tradition for a lot of people to watch this on New Year's Eve. Carrie Joy 4 said breaking out a fresh new planner is a very exciting tradition. And I actually have my bestie had a tradition. I don't know if she still does it, but she used to go to the clearance bin and get specifically a cat or kitten calendar. And then it would be like a big fun deal for her to use that calendar to be her planner for the year. So she would find like the most ridiculous, cheap, it had to be like 99 cents or less planner or calendar to use every year. And then I would go to her house and she would, have it out and it would be all filled out with things. And it was just, I just thought it was a really sweet little tradition. So I think for those of us who love being organized and like something tactile, I think having like a physical planner can be a really nice way to mark time and to start to think about like what we want to accomplish in the year coming up. And then Taxonomy Press had this very intriguing to me because I'm not into tarot, work with Tarot Card of the Year and the Works card. So I wasn't able to figure out what the Works card was, but the Tarot Card of the Year, I found calculations online that you can do to figure out like what your number for the year is and then what card that is. And I just thought that was really cool. Again, anything sort of witchy, super down for. And I think it's wonderful. So thank you to Me Got Perk, and Ayola. It might be Mago Perk. I don't know. But I just thought that was a really great question. And I always love a chance to connect with other people and ask them questions and find out what other people do. And this was really fun. I also found like a lot of stuff was centered around food, which is cool. I think that food is a really great way to connect, to nourish. There's just so much like tradition and community bound up in that. It can be problematic, I guess, of course, if we're vegan and we're looking at things that are traditionally not vegan. But I think in general, I heard for people like lentils was another one that was a sign of good luck. So they eat that every day. There was, I can't remember how to say it, but one that was like a traditional Japanese dish that they have for lunch. So I just think, this idea that you come together with the people that you love and you share a meal, and that's kind of a way to mark the beginning of New Year is a really cool tradition. It's probably just the Italian in me. I love anything food related, but I think that that's like a really cool way to bond with other people. For the next question, Everett, I know asked this tongue in cheek, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Why do you love us so much? And for those watching the live stream or the video replay, you can see I have a pink diamondy looking heart animation on the screen. And I will say you all melt my pink diamond heart. You all have shown me this year, as I mentioned in the beginning with the fundraiser event, I just have this sense, I've had this sense my whole life that I'm like very alone and very on my own. And this year was really the first time that I fully experienced a community coming forward to take care of me. And you can't ask for better than that. Like, especially, we've talked about this a lot, but, especially as a leftist and an atheist specifically, it's very hard sometimes to find community. I haven't been able to find like queer community to connect with in San Diego. I've struggled to really find like my people. And I think, I underestimated how much like I have found my people. You all are just on the internet, So for this relationship that we have to go from purely digital to something that actually touch and improve my material conditions, that was really amazing. And then it's not even just so much the monetary support, but obviously this split this year was very difficult. and to have received so much emotional support, so much encouragement, such an outpouring of love. Even before the split, like with the fundraiser, so many of you made art, made memes, wrote love notes. A lot of you, like when I was going back through to pull everyone's name to put in the presentation, a lot of you had included notes with your donations that were just so touching. Just to receive, I think for me, it's not just like, thanks to my fans, you know, it's really like this, everything that I've done is completely and fully me. And so it's like an acceptance of like me as I truly am versus, you know, the kind of person I have to be at work, or even the kind of person I have to be sometimes with friends or with a partner. I think I've gotten to be the most myself with these platforms that I've created online, and to have people who have been around for years, to have people who show up and care about my well-being, and to be really excited and wanting more from me is just like, feels like radical acceptance. And I can't thank you all enough for that. There's just really no words to express how amazing that is. And then on top of that, y'all are just fucking amazing. You're funny as shit. Like, you're so funny. You all make me laugh all the time. You know so many things. I always feel like, oh, I can just ask I can ask these people and someone's going to know whatever it is. Like, someone's going to know. You know a bunch of stuff. You're very interesting. A lot of you have like your own very interesting experiences and backgrounds. And so I just feel like this community is very rich, even outside of like me and my platform. I think you all are just really cool, interesting people. So I hope that answers your question, even though I know it wasn't a real question. It was a very real answer. So I love you all very much, and I'm just happy to be able to like be here today doing this. I honestly had a lot of points in time that I didn't think this would be possible. And not only is it possible, but it's going well and it feels really good. So thank you. Oh, all right. We're here for our last dad joke. Your mother's sense of humor is so dry that my best jokes are your worst. And I think that says it all. I think that sums up our entire whole relationship here, is that you all just pander to me. You let me be my ridiculous self, and you let me tell really bad jokes, and you encourage it. And I could not be more grateful. And that one I got off the internet. So thanks, the internet. It was actually really cool. I found this list of like your mama jokes where the person had tried to make them less problematic, or to collect ones that weren't like problematic. And I was like, that's really cool. I can respect this project. So in closing, I'll be honest, I wish I had had a bit more time and headspace to really think about what I wanted to say here. So I'm going to kind of just wing it. But I do want to say, I think going along this year, something that's occurred to me is that I've realized, I don't know who this is going to resonate with, but I realized that I feel like I'm just constantly in a cycle of recovering from things. And the second I feel like, okay, I'm kind of recovered, there's like a new thing that happens. And that's maybe not like an insight, but I realized how weary I am from that cycle of having to, have something happen. Like right now, I feel like I'm just starting to bounce back from the after effects of the stress of everything that happened, because anytime I go through a very stressful event, depending on the level of stress, it takes anywhere from weeks to months for me to recover health-wise from that event. So I feel like I'm just starting to pull out of, recovery from, leaving that relationship and having to start a brand new project and figuring everything out and being so scared about everything and how it was going to turn out. Also having the deep fear around my housing situation, feeling very overwhelmed in general with all of the things that I want and need to do. So yeah, I feel like I've just had kind of an endless run of, I'm recovering from this thing that happened, and then I'll start to live, and that's life. There's nothing any of us could have done. Well, maybe on a macro level, but there's nothing any of us could have done to, prevent COVID this year. That was going to happen. That's not under our individual control, at least. So, that's a stressor. Things are always going to happen that are going to throw you off. But I think the reason I wanted to bring this up is because it has occurred to me that I really deeply want to try to have a life where I'm not just constantly recovering from things. And I struggle with that because a lot of the stuff I'm constantly recovering from is my relationships to other people and my, hopes for what those relationships will be. So I just think, I feel that there's this evolution of coming around to wanting to protect my life and myself. And I think that I get lost a lot in my dreams and hopes for, other people and what's going to happen. But I want to be more grounded in reality. I want to be able to meet people where they're at, not where I wish that they were at. And be able to interact with them and engage with them on that level. And if someone's not in a place where they're going to be able to be a good partner, a good friend, a good romantic partner, whatever it is, a good person to collaborate with, whatever it is, that I'm able to just let them go with love and not get swept up in what they need, what I think they need, or how I can make their lives better, things like that. I just really want to, as much as possible, preserve a life where I'm not constantly in recovery. And, discovering that I was autistic was a big part of this, really for the first time, deeply understanding how much I was twisting myself up in so many ways to, be something for other people that was literally causing me to be sick and to be in pain. Just embracing this life that doesn't need to be recovered from. Trying to live a life. And that means I have to stop being so hard on myself. I have to stop beating myself up all the time and trying to prove that I'm worthy by doing things that aren't natural to me or things that are really exhausting. I talked about just looking at the activities I'm participating in and understanding if this is something that's hard for me, it's almost definitely always going to be hard for me at this point. If I've done it enough, I've gotten enough practice and exposure, and it's still really hard or it's still really draining, then to just understand and accept that is always going to be a hard or draining activity for you, and is it worth it? And sometimes it might be. But I think if I'm being honest, there's a lot of stuff that I've done that is just because I think it's a thing that makes me a good person, or I think it's a thing that makes me more valuable in some kind of symbolic sense, right? It adds to my value as a human on the earth. And, a lot of that, when I dismantle it, when I interrogate it, is steeped in a lot of ableism or a lot of capitalist values. And, we have talked about it a lot on previous shows, and it's something that just constantly reoccurs in my own life. But it's amazing how much we've internalized those ideals and values, even if we're just so fundamentally against those things. It doesn't matter. It's still something that you judge yourself on. Like, I still judge myself every single day if I'm not getting tasks done, even if I can look and see that I need rest. Like, I deeply need rest. And some days I do stuff rather than doing things that are good for myself or things that I'm more in the mood for. I do things because I think it's like a higher value thing to do. And I want very much to stop that cycle. I very much want to have a different experience of the world. I joke a lot about my age, but it does scare me that I'm like technically, I guess, middle age or approaching it. And I feel like so much of my life has been spent just being exhausted and trying to get over things, having one thing after another happen where I'm like, oh, I just have to like push past this. I have to get past this. I have to try to recover from this. I have to get over this person, right? I have to have my heart stop breaking. I have to push through something that's frustrating or annoying or draining or difficult. And like eventually in this nebulous future, someday I'll have this life where things aren't so hard. And, I think that's what I mean by my age is that like, well, if it hasn't happened by 39, it's probably not going to just happen that way, right? You're probably not going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then one day magically somehow things are easy if it hasn't happened by now. So, just taking, I guess, a bit more ownership of that process and just trying to be like very brutally honest with myself of my participation in those things. Again, there's so much that's out of my control, but I can be honest and say there is also a lot that is within my control. And there's a lot of stuff that I've internalized holding me to continuing to do these things that make things difficult, continuing to put myself in situations that I then have to recover from or whatever, because I don't value myself enough to protect my health, my autonomy, my joy, So those are my deep 2020 thoughts, I guess. And then just looking forward, I think what I can say in line with that is that I'm just going to seek pleasure. And it's not a new concept. I'm not trying to appropriate from Adrienne Maree Brown or any of these other powerhouses who are out here talking about things like pleasure activism. I think like we should all be applying that to wherever we can. So like the work that we do, even the exercise that we do, or the food that we cook, or whatever we put our hands on every day, like, can we find ways to enjoy this and make it pleasurable? Sometimes we can't. I don't want to slip into like toxic positivity with this, but for instance, with the show, I really was feeling like I had to have a co-host, and I still want to work with other people, and I have to thank Mo for kind of like talking me through this a lot this year, but I realized there's some stuff I want to talk about that like, I just want to talk about it. I want to be able to go deep dive onto it the way that I want to do it. And I need to understand that like I have value in and of myself, and that I don't need to have like the gimmick of another person to deliver that stuff. And I want you to understand like my guests are definitely not gimmicks, but if that makes sense, like it kind of felt like no one's going to just listen to me talk. Why would they? But coming around to like, there's things I want to talk about, like my collaboration with Kai on both platforms was incredible, but I have a whole page of notes of stuff that I really wanted to talk about that we didn't get to on either episode. And just realizing like, well, why don't I just do an episode about that by myself and be able to dig into that and really feel that there's value in that for other people. So I think just that, looking at like, what do I love doing, what I really want to do, and finding ways to do that and cutting out wherever I can the stuff that doesn't fall into that. Because again, I get a lot of ideas. I'm all over the place. So yeah, finding value in my own shit is a big one for me for 2021. And I think, I recognize the privilege in that because I haven't had this privilege before to be able to feel that way. But I've tried to apply that even to my professional work as well. I've told you all I've gotten some offers this year, but I just knew that they would like kill my soul. So I'm trying to make this independent thing work as best I can to have a bit more autonomy over, let me pick the projects that like really work for me and maybe have to live with a lot less, but be able to do stuff that I enjoy and not fall into this trap of like feeling, there's some very valid things to think about, like health, like benefits, healthcare, a regular paycheck. These are all very 401k, like these are all very valid things. But I realized that for me, the pull often was to have that social acceptance of like having a good job because, having grown up poor, having struggled so much in my early 20s, actually my entire 20s, the idea of having that kind of public approval was very intriguing to me. Like to be able to, I remember the first time I wasn't embarrassed to say what I did for work. And that was a big deal. Like I remember the first time I was actually proud to say what I did for work. And there's a lot to unpack there. A lot of that was like, no one should be embarrassed about their job, but we also understand what I'm talking about. And I just remember that feeling of like someone would ask me what I did for work and just being excited. And like people time and time again would just say that I like lit up and that it was just so clear that I really liked what I was doing. And I don't want to lose that. A lot of people like roll their eyes at me for being a content creator. And that's fine. And it is pretty ridiculous in a way, but I love it. And anyone who's met me in any real capacity knows, like, especially outside of this universe, like everyone knows about the show. Everyone knows everything about the show. And if you're going to be a person in my life, like you're going to hear me talking about ideas that I have for the show or wanting to show off like artwork or something. Like it's just such a huge thing that I love so much, and I'm just going to do everything I can to make it my focus as much as I can. And that's been a journey for me. I'm not a person who in years past would have walked away from a stable thing to risk it for this. But I think when you go through like pretty severe burnout, or you just, there's a lot of different experiences you can have. I think like, yeah, there's just a change that comes over you, hopefully. And I know it did for me that I was like, I'm not living, I'm finally able to pay my bills and I have a nice retirement account and I'm on a path to get somewhere where maybe I won't be underpaid at some point. And, and I have a job that people might think is a great job, but I'm miserable and I'm sick and I can't do this much longer. So to circle back to the beginning, I have to thank all of you for making this even remotely possible for me to do. If I didn't have an audience already, and if I hadn't gotten some monetary help, in the donations that we've always received, like this would not be something that I could have changed my life to attempt. And that means more to me than I think I can really express properly via like a webcam or a microphone. But it like really is a big deal. I've always been a creative person, but also a very practical person. And to find a way to intertwine the two has been so liberating and so validating. And I have, ever since I started doing the show, like online work, I've just had so much more confidence, and it helped me to have more confidence in my job. It helped me have more of an attitude with people in what I think is a good way. of just kind of being like, fuck you. I know there's people out here who think I'm great, who agree with my ideas. I know I'm not alone in this stuff. So yeah, this work has really bled into every aspect of my life in a great way. And I'm just so grateful to be here. And to be able to show up in a way that is finally truly authentic to how I feel and who I am and what I want to do. And so just thank you all for supporting that. So all of that smooshy stuff aside, I want to say thanks to everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. To have a little bit of admin here at the boring admin here at the end. There's a Instagram boycott going on. I don't know if you all have heard about it, but Facebook and Instagram have updated their policies yet again to be even more targeting people who are sex workers or who are BIPOC, queer, lefties, make things more difficult for them. Instagram now, I believe, owns all of your images and can use them however they want. So there's a big call on the left for people to boycott Instagram and finally make the move over to Mastodon, which is like a social media platform, but that's run in a ethical way. I'm still learning about it, so I'll have more information in the future. So anyway, I'm just all to say I'm very stressed out about this because, as you all know, Instagram is the only platform I feel like I've mastered in any way. So I feel like I'm losing, like my one real platform. So anyway, I'm in the process of transitioning. I will, we've actually just created a Discord. We're still getting it set up, but a new Discord will be ready soon. So I just ask you in the coming weeks and months to consider other alternative places to follow me and connect with other people in the community so that we can maybe finally officially get off of these platforms that are so problematic. It's really difficult to spend so much time building up a following on a platform and then to have something like this happen is pretty devastating, honestly. So, if you've been hearing about Mastodon, go check it out, consider signing up. If you've been hearing about Discord, and you're intimidated because you've never been on it, I felt that way too, but I actually really love it now. Consider checking it out. And just to help us all, I think, finally take a stand. And I think we really need to grow our own spaces. I'm even looking into YouTube alternatives, and I think I might just post to both in the future so that I also have something other than YouTube, because as you all know, YouTube loves to cancel my ass and delete my account for no reason. So I think there's a good call out, and I support it, that we need to really take charge of populating and having spaces that are going to be safe from these major corporations so that we can reliably have income, we can reliably get our message out there, we can reliably connect and talk to each other, and to not be spied on, and to not have our shit stolen, and to not have our accounts deleted out of nowhere. I just think that that's really important. And I know a lot of you are already aware of and participating in these things, but I think a lot of you also are not, probably like me, have kind of thought about it, but haven't really looked into it. So something to consider as we go into 2021. I just think it just seems like corporations are increasing their efforts to monitor us, to control the flow of information. It's always been a problem, but I just feel like it's gotten worse and worse in recent years, very notably worse. And so I think the time is yesterday probably to, build up our platforms that we can control and have that stability in our activism and in our creative content and in our connections to each other. Oh, with all of that said, my goodness, thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. However you're listening to this, if you're on YouTube, if you haven't already, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. I tried to do a call out to get to 1,000 subs, and I think I got 4 new followers. didn't work. I don't think that's anyone's fault. A lot of people tried to help out. I just think people who know about me are already subscribed, and then, I'm just having trouble hitting new audiences, which is fine. But if somehow you're here and you enjoyed anything you've heard from me and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It would help me out quite a bit. I did start a Twitch. I haven't used it yet. I would be interested to see if people who regularly use Twitch or maybe are on there think that it would be worth it to live stream these episodes to Twitch. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to keep it to eventually play video games on and just have it be like a chill hangout space. Twitter, Discord coming soon, Facebook. I am actually going to try to get away from Facebook as well, but I think I'll just have an account and not use it because I do like live streaming to Facebook. So anyway, these are ways you can follow. If you want to contribute financially, you can go to patreon.com/pinkspots and contribute there. I also have a PayPal link in the show notes if you want to make a one-time donation. And that's it. Thanks everyone for coming today. Goodbye 2020. Hello 2021. I'm excited to go into this new year with all of you. Very excited about that. I'm very excited about what we're going to be doing on this platform. One thing I do want to announce that I'm very excited about. So the next episode is going to be with Mohira, which I'm super excited about. We're going to be talking about all things education. She's going to talk about being a woman of color in STEM and the ways that academia replicates capitalistic values. Very excited for that collaboration. And then in February, hopefully around Valentine's Day, I'm going to be collaborating with Mexi and Catherine to talk about sex. So I don't know if you all have watched Mexi's new video about the way we talk about sex work, and sex liberation on her channel, Mexi, but I highly recommend it. And it's facilitated a huge amount of conversation. The comments in that video, they hosted a talk on Discord today that was very active. So I was like, we need to do a live stream about this. This would be really fun. So look for that coming in February. And then lots of other really great stuff. So thank you all again. For those on the live stream, definitely doing an after party. I'm going to go grab some champagne and come back. I'll play the little outro video. For those of you listening to the replay or on the podcast, I will see you next time. Hello, hello. I don't have any champagne glasses, so I had to make a fancy mimosa in my skull cup. Oh, Mama's done working. Now she can relax. I'm going to catch up on comments for a moment. Ooh, that is tart. So I'm having a huge issue because I used to be able to use this thing called Logi Capture, which would help me like modify the camera and it would let me like zoom in. But for some reason it had an update and now it doesn't work with StreamYard. So this is driving me batty because I can't adjust this. I just have to use a straight webcam. Mo. Yes. I am a spooky Scorpio. This is true. I am obsessed with skulls, like anything skull. Thanks, T. I spent most of the morning just getting ready, which is very out of character because you all know, typically I'm like, throw on a sweatshirt, it's fine. Yeah, I love this top. Is like legit vintage top I found in a thrift shop. Like it's got, I don't know, it's just really cool. Like you can tell, I don't know what era it's from exactly, but it's an amazing shape and I only wear it once every like 2 or 3 years. So I haven't wrecked it, which is good because I'm very rough on clothes. Oh, so I want to hear from all of you. What are you up to? How were your holidays so far? What do you have planned for New Year's Eve if you celebrate? Do you do resolutions? What did you think of what other people do? I thought it was really cool to hear from people like around the world of different stuff that they do to celebrate and mark time. I like how Yola put that, like it's important. There is something important about marking time, but you know, obviously a lot of the traditions we have developed now, at least in the United States, are very problematic, for lack of a better word. Oh, that is so cool. Everything about that is really cool. My friend's daughter, I just saw it the other day and I don't remember where I put it, designed this sticker that's like an accurate portrayal of some fossil, like prehistoric fish. And it's just like the coolest thing. Like I'm just obsessed with any kind of skeleton at all. When I finally get a sleeve, I want it to have a bunch of, my idea initially was for it to be, oh, I forgot to put on, hold on. Woo. If I don't do that, then people come in real hot that we're not talking about the topic. So I had this idea that I wanted to have a skull and flowers sleeve, but I wanted it to be different animal skulls and then like a human skull and then like flowers that would grow in the wild. So it was kind of like almost like a pretty graveyard of all species kind of concept. What? How do you all have this cool bone stuff? Oh, roller skates. That is so cute. I love the idea of roller skates, but I'm extremely clumsy and very afraid of falling. I'm just not good at any kind of wheels on your feet sports. I was joking with my friend too. We went to the beach the other day and we're watching the surfers and he was like, "Do you surf?" And I'm like, "No, I'm like, I'm not good with any sport that includes a board on your feet. So it's like, I'm not good at surfing, I'm not good at snowboarding or skateboarding, any of it. Oh, tamales and gifts. That sounds nice. Yeah, I didn't really do anything. My friend and I hung out on Christmas Eve, and then I didn't really do anything on Christmas itself. I actually worked on this episode quite a bit. But I was telling my friends, I tried to just be really mindful all day. So, like, anything I did, I tried to be like, do I want to do this? If yes, then like enjoy it and then stop doing it once it stops being interesting. Like I let myself play on my phone and watch some YouTube videos in the morning, but I was like, I'm not going to do this as like a numbing activity. I'm going to do it because it's fun. And once it stops being fun, I'll go do something else. And I actually had a really nice day that way. Can you all see the purple? I still can't completely get it out of my hair. If there's any hairdressers in the audience, or people who know about hair, I'm starting to realize I don't think I can grow out my hair while also bleaching it, which kind of breaks my heart. So if you have any thoughts on that, I would love to hear them. Because I feel like I just shaved this down. I feel like you can see it's already kind of fried again. And I tried to be so careful. But yeah. Especially because it's just so hard because once you get a little bit of root, you have to bleach it. And you can't really just bleach the root when it's so short. So y'all know I hate my natural color. Oh, Gabnap, you have a Christmas birthday? That's terrible. My ex's birthday was on the 30th. So it was close enough that he always just got like double presents and didn't really get anything specifically for him. And his brother's birthday was in July, and he would always be so mad because his brother would get this like big neighborhood cookout celebration thing and get like, presents that were just for his birthday. And my ex would get shafted with just like getting lumped in with the holidays. So it was very expensive for me because I always made a big effort to like celebrate his birthday and Christmas separately. Oh yeah, vegan birthdays are fun to celebrate. Koch, do you have a roller rink or somewhere you can go that's safe? Because it's like the outside stuff too. Like roller skating outside just seems so extreme to me. So I'm a little wimp. I'm like, I'm just gonna die. Ugh, that's just offensive. Christmas themed birthday gifts. Ugh. Latasha, I'm glad you let us know. I would have been worried. Ben. Chicky tendies. I fucking love vegan chicken tenders. I can't eat any of them because they're all gluten-y, but that was one of the first vegan products that I was able to get my omnivore friends to eat, where they were like, this is hands down better. Oh, and Dimitri's another near Christmas baby. Mo, you're so coordinated. Oh, you can't hear me? I don't know why. Let me check my mic. Testing. It seems to show that my mic is working. Let me know if you still can't hear me. Oh, vegan pizza bites. Okay, good. I'm glad. That would have been awkward. Fun story. I put on this color today thinking it was like a gold, like a light gold, and then it was like very dark brown, but it worked out. Wait, like you make them from scratch? I'm intrigued. Oh, bagel bites, yes. Bagel bites are amazing. I want to know, do people still do the bagel pizza? That was a huge thing that I did when I was a kid with my friends, and it was like the best. Everyone is so talented with food. I am going to celebrate today. My friend told me, have you all seen, I guess I should say, have you all seen Soul, the new Pixar movie that just came out? My friend said it was like the best animated movie ever. So I'm going to treat myself to that and an ice cream bar and some popcorn after this. I feel like I'm celebrating New Year's Eve today. And then when New Year's Eve happens, I'm not going to give a shit. Oh, pita bread. I miss pita bread so much. There is no good gluten-free pita bread, and it's honestly, it's a hate crime. I also just caught up. I was so annoyed because I have HBO with Hulu and I split it with some friends. And I thought on Hulu you saw all of the HBO stuff. And I just found out that you have to go to HBO Max to see more stuff. So I had been missing out on like Steven Universe movie, Steven Universe future, Adventure Times, Distant Lands, all of these things. I was seeing other YouTubers talk about it. I'm like, how are they talking about it? That's not out yet. Nope, it was just hidden from me by the HBO machine. I have to say the Steven Universe movie, I hated every second of it. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I hated it. It actually felt like it was made for like kids, and I didn't like it. I hear my Discord popping off. Ooh. Dimitri, I appreciate your donations over here, your additions. Excuse me. Oh, bye, Tasha. You're probably already gone. See, you get it. You get it. That was actually a person that I'm not friends with anymore. Was his joke that I think is so funny that I continue to say it, but he would call like everything a hate crime or homophobia. And I'm like, honestly though, it is. Everything's racism, everything's homophobia, everything's a hate crime. And I agree. I think gluten-free pita bread is a hate crime. Oh, lasagna. I haven't made lasagna in forever. Because again, it's hard. They do exist, but it's hard to find gluten-free noodles to use. And sometimes I make it with zucchini, but then I feel like anorexic. I feel like that's something Nikki circa, 2004 would have done. And also, I know you can make your own, so I know, but Mama's tired most days. So the fucking like ricotta cheese out there is so expensive, the vegan stuff. It's really good, but it's gross. I mean, it's so expensive. I think I looked at the Kite Hill one was like $10 for like that much. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, the new Euphoria little, I don't know if you call it a movie or what you call it, but oh, I was wondering about this because I saw that, yeah, and I was like, Mo, you gotta. They're both so good. I don't have a problem with lasagna for one because I will eat it twice a day. That's just me. I do like the Amy's brand. That is really good. I'll buy that for a treat when I'm like, oh, I want lasagna, but I don't want to deal with the whole thing. Dimitri, I love you so much. And I'm glad you're not sorry. You shouldn't be sorry. The book I recommended about attachment theory is called Attached. And then it's like the science of something, something, something. But it has, the cover has magnets in the shape of a heart. So that's how you'll know it's the right one. It's quite good. I don't own it, and it's one of the books I would like to reread. I would like to own it so I can like make notes in it. Well, you all seem very calm and tame today. I'm surprised. Everyone's tired from holiday shenanigans. Yeah. That's pretty much my speed too. That's how I am with these fucking meatballs. Because the ground beef is so expensive, so I'm like, I need to stretch it out. But I'm like, also I want to eat this every day. So I just have like a little bit every day so I can eat it for longer. Oh, Landon, how'd it go? I forgot to ask about Love updates. Were you brooding because you missed him? And as Everett asked, are those 2 weeks over? It's a big question. That's good. Same. I'm like, I've made 14 gallons of chili and I will be eating it for the rest of my life and very happy about it. Oh. So this isn't the first time you two have seen each other, right, Landon? I think you had maybe one other visit. He wrote you a song? Does he play guitar? We do love that you're in love. Oh, that is so cute. I'm glad that someone's in love because sometimes I'm like, has my heart died? I like thinking it's still possible. Excuse me. Yeah. A very special after party. That's the way to do it. You got to convert through dating. That's what I do. I've left a long line of heartbroken vegans in my wake. Excuse me. Well, children, I think that's it. Oh, yes. Landon, I'm so heartbroken that you were so close to me and we couldn't see each other. I was thinking the same thing, but I wasn't going to say it. Oh, this is a huge question. The only reason I even have Disney Plus is for that little baby. And yeah, I don't even know. That's a huge question. Maybe. I'm very excited to say, I didn't say it on the main show, but I am getting very close to launching the new YouTube channel. I'm working on the branding. I've got a few scripts in the works. So that should be like probably within the next month. Unless I have huge issues with video editing. That's the only thing I'm not like super experienced with. That might trip me up, but so excited. I'm going to have my first one be about happiest season, even though it's like over, but then I have some planned that are going to be pretty amazing. I'm going to do one about Black Swan that I think is going to be like mind blowing. Yeah. And I think, on that channel, I want to do some like more informal talks or analyses about media. And I think Baby Yoda could probably be the target of one of those. Oh, Mo, this is a huge question. It's a huge question. So I will say Steven Universe is much more of like an actual kids show in vibe. It has some like great adult themes to, or like just great themes to it, but it does feel more like a kid's show, even more so than She-Ra, I would say. Adventure Time is like weird and dark and amazing and very abstract at times. So I guess like, I don't know if that helps you make a decision, but like Steven Universe is a little tough to get into. I think it took me like half a season, I think, to actually get into it. And the only reason I stuck with it is because so many times I had heard other people like rave about it. So I was like, there's got to be something here. And then there was one episode where it clicked and I was like, oh, I love it. It's just really gay and like there's really good messages about consent. I do have issues with how they ended that series that I won't spoil, but overall it's like an amazing show. Yeah, weird and dark. And Adventure Time is just Steven Universe is shorter, like there's fewer episodes and seasons too, so you could finish it quicker than Adventure Time. Adventure Time is amazing. I like want to go back and watch it all the way through. I don't even really understand what it's about. I just really love it. Aw. Oh, I was going to say, why are you all saying nice things about episodes? Landon, you're such a good kid. Dimitri, don't even, like, this is literally my sweetest, biggest dream in life is that could happen. I love H. Bomber Guy. He's actually like Harris is a huge influence on even why I wanted to have an analysis channel in the first place. I love his stuff. If he ever even talked to me, I just would be like, goals achieved. I can die now. Aw. Aw, you all are so sweet. Yeah, I love Harris's humor too. I get it. Like, I just think it's so funny. And I just like how he gets really obsessed with not necessarily obscure stuff, but stuff that most people wouldn't be passionate about. And he'll make like a 3-hour video about it that takes like a year. And I'm like, this is this is very relatable headspace to be in. So like that's something I want to do on my Twitch channel is I want to play games that like nobody would fucking care about, but that are like my favorite games. And just like be like, this is the best game. I love it so much. Yeah. I am not mad at it. I'll just say that. He's got a little bit of like Unabomber, someone who's kind of slightly fallen over the edge, you know? And who doesn't love that? Who doesn't like to feel slightly in danger with a person? Ugh, so much work. It's so much work. Even this silly PowerPoint for today was so much work. It's like 2 full days of work just to put that together. Mo. I know you're baiting me, and I still can't not get mad. I hate her so much. Being a trans person is not the same as being a tree, you fucking asshole. And stop defending Woody Harrelson. Woody Allen, my God. Yeah, it wasn't technically a PowerPoint. I made it in Canva. It's a presentation. Yeah, Danny, it's real. That shit is real. And not to mention, this is what people don't get too, because they think like doing anything on the internet is easy and lazy, and it's like nothing on the internet is easy. Nothing. Even when I was just a blogger, it's like the amount of work I had to put in to get photos, the amount of work you put in to like come up with an idea and then write. You know, I used to write like long blog posts, so it's like to write like 1,000, 2,000 words on something is like, I think probably even more than that, is a lot. To design the website and keep it up, like everything on the internet is so much, and people just think it's like super easy. It's not easy. And I was gonna say, like, just the amount of time too that I keep like my stuff processing in my head like all the time. That's why I was saying, like, if I date someone or if I'm close friends with someone, like I'm only close to people who are cool with me talking about the show all the time, because I'm like constantly thinking about it. I'm not like bragging about the show. I'm like working on concepts and ideas all the time, or working on artwork, or working on like rebranding or whatever it is, like constantly. It's so much in your head all the time. And I think that's why I like H-Bomber Guy's media so much, because you can feel that. Like you can tell that he's just obsessively thought about this thing for a very long time and has like been compelled to create this ridiculous huge thing around it. And I honestly, I don't even know. I probably know like maybe 25%, and that's probably very high, of what he's even talking about in terms of media. Like, I have not played the games he's played. I haven't watched a lot of what he's watched, but I watch everything he makes, because like just that obsessive like tendency is really compelling to me. We should watch But I'm a Cheerleader again. That movie was so good. I was thinking of doing an analysis of that, but I don't even know if there's anything to say besides it's really good. I don't think there's anything to analyze. It's just great. And yeah, Dimitri, organizing in any way is, yeah, it's very time consuming. Yeah, me too. And I'm aiming to be one of those people. Like, I don't want to, like, I have a lot of ideas about stuff I could do, but I try to, especially now that I'm posting less over here than I was on BSS and then starting the new channel. I want it to be like, I'm just doing stuff that I really think about, really care about. I don't, because with the previous two podcasts, like, it wasn't like we were ever dialing it in, but, you know, having to produce content once or even twice a week, like, you do hit times where you're like scrambling to just come up with something for the day. And that was part of my, like, really thinking about what do I want to do if I come back, was like, I don't want to come back and just be having a schedule so rigorous that I'm scrambling to, like, come up with stuff to fill it. I want it to be spaced out enough that, like, every time I get in front of the mic, I'm, like, excited because it's something I really want to talk about. And I've really been thinking about and talking about with other people. So this ring had a big peacock on it, and you can see when I was gesticulating, the peacock just broke off and flew off my hand, and I'm really sad because my friend gives me, like, secondhand jewelry all the time, and this was a piece that I found recently, and I was like, I love this so much, and now it's broken. I'm trying to see where it went. Oh, there it is. Hopefully I can glue it back on. But see how cool? Mm-hmm. There we go. Isn't that cute? She really likes peacocks, so she has a bunch of peacock stuff, which I've been lucky enough to inherit from her. Yeah, it's a promise ring. It's a promise to myself to not put up with any more bullshit. Yeah, thrifting is not easy, or I would dare say even doable as a plus size person. And I know I'm on the lower end of plus size. And, like, even for me, the last few times I went, I was like, this entire system is a hate crime. Because I could not find anything that I could fit into. Which is really sad because I love thrifting. It's so fun. And I used to basically only thrift, and it was just so nice to be wearing stuff that was cool and, like, you knew no one else could have it because it's just some random thing that you found in a thrift shop. Yes, Danny, I do use ThreadUp. And yeah, I like it. The only thing that's hard about it is, like, you can't see the clothes on a person. And it can be hard if you're not familiar with the brand to know, like, what size you should get. I don't think they have size charts. So if it's not, like, a common brand, it can be hard to, like, I've ordered stuff and it's just been way the wrong size, even though it's my usual size. Yep. Our list of hate crimes is growing. Dan Man, if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out. It's the after party. We're just hanging out. I wanted to show my friends my thing that I lost. Yeah, I miss that too. I really used to like going to the I just love like shopping, and not like in a consumptive way, but like the actual process of shopping. Like I like to smell things. I like to touch things, which I know isn't very sanitary, but that's why I wash all my stuff. And I just like to look at stuff and read labels. And whenever I go to the store, for the most part, I really like to take my time. I look at new products. I see what produce looks good. And it's been really hard to, yeah, like now if I physically go to the store, it's like, you're just trying to get in, get out. And if I order stuff online, then it's like, I'm having a very hard time with the fact that someone else is picking out my things. But it is what it is. I'm lucky with my CSA box. That helps because I don't really buy produce anymore. It's more like staples that I need. So that's a bit easier to let go of. But I'm sure you all, like most of you at least, can imagine being like vegan and gluten-free. It can be really frustrating to try to have someone else shop for you because they just don't know. Like, we all know where that stuff is in the store, but it can be hard to find if you don't know. And so many times I've gotten like stuff like I would order like vegan gluten-free bagels and then would get like regular bagels. And I'm like, I don't want to be an asshole and give this person a bad rating or anything, but it's just really frustrating. Or I get like, they say it's out of stock and I'm like, is it out of stock or did you just not know where it was? So anyway, it's been a practice in letting go of control and also doing with as little as possible so that I can like space out orders and stuff. Oh, Danny, that sucks. And see, that's the thing, like co-ops are so fun. I love to just walk around and see what they have and like look at everything and yeah, touch everything, which I guess post-COVID I will try not to do as much. But it's also like, this is the part of food and cooking I feel is lost for so many people, is like you should be like engaging with the food, you should be like smelling it and touching it and seeing what's good and what's ripe and what's whatever. Yeah, I hate when people at grocery stores start to get to know me because I feel like I'm so weird to watch shopping. And I know it seems like he's not there anymore, thankfully, but this one guy at my grocery store, just like, I guess I look just like a friend of his, so he thought we were friends. And I would be like smelling all the avocados and touching them all. And then I would look over and see him just like watching me do it. And I'm like, I just want to be anonymous right now. I just want to be an anonymous weirdo touching all the avocados. I love oat milk and coffee as well. My friend and I went to a coffee shop before we went to the beach and got some oat milk lattes, and they were quite good. Okay, Latasha, maybe this is going to be a hot take, but I swear to God, I don't think California has good watermelon. I said it. There, I said it. Maybe in other places, but down here, I have not had a single good watermelon in Southern California the entire time I've been here. I went to Delaware for a trip, and every watermelon I had was amazing. I just think we don't get the right combination of like heat and humidity that's needed for a good watermelon. This is such a mood. Yeah. I know. Especially, I'm such a compulsive person. I'll go in and I'll buy the same thing like 7 times in a row. And I'm like, please don't remember me. I don't need you to comment on this. I don't need anyone to notice me. I just want to be anonymous. So Latasha, number one, you probably will never have a good watermelon here, but number two, this is what to look for. It's supposed to have like a nice lightened spot, which means it got to like sit in the sun and ripen, and then that spot didn't have sun, so it didn't get all dark. And then there's supposed to be, yeah, the knocking with a hollow sound, but that I've never been able to master. That's one of the things I get really embarrassed is I'll try to like find a good watermelon, I'll be knocking on it, but I know I don't really know what I'm looking for. And then if I notice someone watching me, I just get super embarrassed and I'll just put it down and leave. Which is like, why? Why be embarrassed by that? Oh, wrong one. Yeah, it's like, just don't. And I think people think they're being, I don't know. I think they think they're being cheeky or something. And it's just like, no, you're just being annoying. Who wants someone looking at their groceries? Even when the clerk checks me out, if I feel like they're like really looking at what I bought, I get really uncomfortable. Who squeezes tomatoes? Oh, I love it. I smell tomatoes, so I'm not much better. But it's true. The tomatoes in this country, hate crime. Mo, you can add that to the list. Tomatoes are hate crime. They've all been chilled. They were not allowed to ripen properly. They all taste like nothing. Such a travesty. Yeah, I think the knocking thing is true, but I don't know how to do it. Like, I really don't understand what I'm listening for. Yes. Don't comment on my stuff. See? All right, children, for real. I'm going to go. Mommy wants to tie one on and watch a movie and relax. But I love you all very much. I hope this episode was something. I had a lot of fun putting it together, and I just really love the opportunity to appreciate all of you in this community. I forgot to say on the show, but the after parties we've been having with the guests have been so fun, and sometimes I feel like they end up being like almost a better episode than the main episode, and that is clearly because of all of you. That basically has nothing to do with me. That's all of you just being really fun to hang out with, and really like cool and welcoming to whoever's in the studio. So thank you all, my children. You make me so proud. We've created a space that I love bringing people into, and that's super cool. So thank you, and I love you all. And next time I'm back on camera, I'll be here with Mo, and we'll be talking about some really cool shit. So I will see you all then. See you all in 2021. Brand new year. And we'll see what kind of a shit show it is. All right, bye.